Hello snowboarders of the internet. I'm your host Kevin here with another Angry Snowboarder review, and today I'm going to be talking about the Nidecker Smoke. This board comes in a 155, 158, and 161. This board has directional camber, so positive camber throughout most of the board, a little bit of early rise in the nose, and just a little bit of early rise in the tail. But there's a lot of camber to this. It pretty much rides like it's traditional camber. I rode this at Breckenridge late-ish mid-spring it had some previous snow in the last couple days, but nothing really super fresh, and early enough in the day that in the sun, the snow had definitely started to soften up a little bit, but in the shade it was still pretty firm and pretty fast. And I rode this with my K2 Lean ATs and DC Tuck Knees in a size 8. The flex on this is stiff. It's basically the best way to put it. It is beefy and stiff in the tail, continues that throughout under the foot. Little bit of extra flex right between the feet, stiffens up again under the front foot, stiff throughout most of the nose, and then just a little bit softer in the very end of the nose. But overall, it's a very stiff board. With the stiffness on this, the shape in the side cut, you can just point it and go straight, and this doesn't really have a speed limit. Now, when you start turning, the stability tends to change a little bit, as with how much camber is in this, the stiffness and the torsional stiffness, it tends to kind of chunk out a little bit, so the stability of it is kind of meh when you're actually turning, and that's just because the board requires so much power to really push through and drive it that if you don't have that power, it just doesn't really like to behave all that well. So pointing it straight and you're never going to get bucked off your line, but turning kind of depends on how powerful and precise you can be with it. So this board, I've previously just said, is stiff. It is gnarly stiff. The ollie power out of this thing is actually crazy good, and if it didn't have that slightly softer flex between the feet, you certainly wouldn't be able to even get to it. But if you load it between the feet and then push through the tail, you can actually get a ton of power and pop out of this thing, and it will boost. You do have to muscle it to get to that, and that's just the nature of the stiffness, so you really got to be on top of it, and you've got to have some leg power. But if you do, this board will send you up there. Butters. Well, I tried once, it didn't happen, so I didn't try again. The carving on this was probably the attribute that I was most looking forward to getting on the Smoke, and unfortunately it was also the biggest letdown. On a toe side, I had enough power, and with your feet a little bit more further apart, even with a double positive stance that I ride on this, I can get a little bit more power under the toe side, and being able to throw my entire weight into it, I was able to get it to turn closer to the way I think it's supposed to. But on the heel side, I just could not get enough power into it to really lock into a turn on it. So medium turns to really big, long, drawn out turns, it was fine. But the second you try and do anything quick or a little bit tighter or really lay it over, especially on the heel side, I just couldn't get it to hold on to an edge. And on top of that, the initiation is just weird. You can't really initiate it anywhere other than between the feet. And I think that kind of comes down to the fact that, again, that stiffness right between the feet is just a little bit softer than outside the feet in either the nose or tail. So being able to center flex that board is really the only way to get it to start its turns. You can't start on the front foot and transition through the back. If you throw your weight towards the back, it just doesn't hold on. It just doesn't act right. And I think it's just kind of a combination of too much camber with too stiff of a torsional flex to it. So softening up that torsional flex or lowering that camber, I think, would do a lot for this board as far as its carvability is concerned. But overall, it just wasn't very good. So if you're looking for something that you just want to blast medium to long turns on, then this will do it. But your short, more aggressive, lay it out, throw your arm down kind of turns, not really happening unless you're a bodybuilder who weigh 300 pounds. Who is this board for? That's for your carver. You're somebody looking to really charge it, throw some Euro carves down, and really just lay it over and dig trenches. So my personal thoughts on this board were that it was basically just kind of a disappointment. Every Nidecker so far that I've ridden has had a really good side cut, and even if there's some attributes about those boards that I wasn't really a fan of, they always turned well. This is really the first Nidecker I've ridden that didn't. It just didn't have the right kind of combination of stuff to it, and I'm not unaccustomed to riding stiff boards. I want to ride timeless. It's solid aluminum. I can ride a stiff board and I can turn them, and this board just didn't act right. It had either just too much camber, or it was too stiff torsionally, or the combo of the two, just something didn't really work right with it, and I just couldn't get it to turn how I expected it to. So for me, it was just kind of a disappointment, and not something that I'd really look at. If this is something you were really considering, honestly, I'd push it towards a mellow. Similar boards are the Stranda Shorty, the Jones Ultra Hovercraft, and the Battalion Carver. Thanks for watching. This has been my review of the Nidecker Smoke. Was this a board you were super excited about and I just completely let you down? Sorry. Yeah, it happens sometimes. But let's have a conversation about it. Maybe I can point you towards something that I feel like might be a little bit better. While you're doing that, click like, click subscribe, and hit the bell. Make sure you get notifications when these videos are going to be coming out. If you're interested in supporting us, check out Angry Snowboarder VIP. There's a video that's going to tell you a lot more than I will about it. Thanks for watching and come back for the next video.